Hello, trading is closed on the 4th of December 2014. I'm Jeff Tennant. As usual, let's go over my previous calls. We had some mejt targets from earlier in the week. We had 2062.70 and 2062.95, and these lows were 2062.73 and 2062.34. Prices typically go just beyond the mejt targets, so the targets were satisfied a bit later than usual, and there was support under them. There was also a target from earlier in the week of 2068.44. There was some support at that level, but there was also a winner at the 2071.32 target, where it gave good support resistance levels throughout the day. During the day, mejt said that ultimately lower prices would print, which they did. The red dots indicate price targets were hit outside of their preferred time frame, and the white dots indicate they were hit within their preferred time frame. Later in the afternoon, the system marked this rally as false and said that this price would print after this time, which it did. We don't have any new mejt targets for tomorrow, so I guess I have to look to other stuff. It's not so easy, but here's what I came up with. Here's a 15-minute chart. The initial high on the gap up is a very critical level. This was the first time we were able to close over that level 2 days in a row, but today doesn't really count because with 5 minutes left to trade, we were under that level, and trading in the last 5 minutes usually isn't very significant. We have gone over this line so many times. I think it's a matter of time until we break through it for keeps, but that does not give us the direction of the next move. So let's look at some other stuff. Here's a stilt move up. Here's a stilt move down. Here's a diamond, I think. So we have a diamond on stilts pattern. This is the origin of the left stilt. This is the first test of the origin of the left stilt, and typically the first test holds, but the second test fails in a large way. So if we break this level, which is 2049.57, we could have a significant drop. Now what's happened since then is we have a stilt down with half a diamond in between. Well, half a diamond's enough, so we have another inverted, this time diamond on stilts. Here's the origin of the left stilt. Here is the first test of the origin of the left stilt. Usually the first test holds, which it did. Now we could stop here and go up. I mean, it has held, but usually you get more of a reaction than this. If we were to break through here, particularly by having a gap up over this high, that would be pretty positive. That is not what I think is going to happen. If you look here, we have a wall into the close. A wall into the close, straight up, no pullbacks at all. Maybe this, but I don't think that's enough of one. Usually indicates excessive optimism by the amateurs, because the pros aren't going to put their positions on at the end of the day when liquidity's so low. So if I'm correct about this being a wall up at the close, if I'm correct, there's a good chance we gap under this low at tomorrow's open. If we gap under this low, this would be repeated failures to close over that high. It's a strong resistance area. We have a conflict here because the more times this area is tested, the greater the chance we break through it and go up at some time. However, this has held quite a few times, and if we do have a gap under this low, that resistance should hold, and if we can carry under this low, we can have a pretty good drop. I think it's important to see that if you measure from the origin of the left stilt to this high, you've got a 127.2% move. So there is Fibonacci resistance at the high. There's resistance from the origin of this stilt at this high. We've got a lot of resistance. We've moved down. We have a move up, which I think has a good chance of being reversed immediately tomorrow. There's a lot of negative sign. There are a lot of negative signs here, and if we can have a gap down, it could be a very steep drop. So let's see what happens tomorrow. If we don't have the gap down but have a gap up instead, we could be off to the races on the upside. Anything's possible. I think that's a low odds play at this point, but I could be wrong. And that's today's call.